What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition Power Gamers Tactics Room. I'm your host, Hilbron Bafflestone. So today we are going to be kicking off the next segment of my 28-part fighter series, this time looking at the Psi Warrior. So today we will be starting with a review and rating series to give us a basic overview of the archetype. Then tomorrow I will be doing a deep dive series to look for optimization leverage points. And then the day after, I will be doing a 1 through 20 character build series, so we can see how I would put something together. So the Psi Warrior. Let's take a look and see what we got here. So the first thing that I need to mention is that these review and ratings videos for the fighter archetypes are preliminary. I started with the Rune Knight, and to begin, I made a base analysis of all of the fighter archetype powers, and I ranked them by my first impressions. But as I did a deeper dive into the Rune Knight, I had to reevaluate those rankings, and I'm sure that that is going to continue. I am more of a caster specialist. I'm kind of, diving into fighters for really the first time. So there are going to be certain nuances that I miss that I'm not going to figure out until I do my deep dive and my character build series. So keep that in mind. These are preliminary rankings, and the way that I've constructed them, they shouldn't give you too much information about my overall rankings, so try not to read into all of that. So the Psi Warrior at 3rd level, when their powers come online, start with Psionic Power, 2 times proficiency per day, plus 1 per short rest in terms of psionic energy dice. It starts at a d6 at level 3, bumps to d8 at level 5, d10 at level 11, and d12 at level 17, and the save DC is based on your intelligence. They get 3 powers. The first is Protective Field. Use the psionic energy die and your reaction to reduce damage taken by the die roll plus your intelligence modifier. You get Psionic Strike, which they can use once per turn with a psionic energy die, no bonus action or reaction needed, and they can do additional damage equal to the die plus their intelligence, as long as their weapon attack is within 30 feet. Their last power is Telekinetic Movement. This they can use without a psionic energy die once per day, or activate it with their die, and they require their action, and they can move an object or a willing creature. They cannot affect themselves, and the creature must be large or smaller, and if it is a tiny object, it can be moved to and from the hand. So I find that this has great flavor, although unimpressive versatility. It's a nice distribution of effects. You get a defense, an offense, and a maneuverability option. Albeit the maneuverability option does not apply to yourself, it's pretty sweet for party members. So the limited range of Psionic Strike is not great for archery, but you can work around it. The Protective Field is excellent for managing concentration, and the Telekinetic Movement is excellent for the party as it does not incur an opportunity attack, since you are moving them and they are not using any of their actions, bonus actions, or reactions to move. And it's also somewhat interesting with dropped items. You can use Fear or Command to make them drop things, and then you can call it to your hand immediately. These powers have an excellent progression over time regarding the number of uses that they get. See the previous video that I did where I looked deeply into the chart, and that chart will be included in the notes for this video. One of the nice things about their progression is that all of their powers can be used with their psionic energy die. So while they lack in versatility, they can do these things as often as they need them, which is kind of cool. If you look at the Rune Knight, they only get like a couple of runes per short rest. So if something is really working, they can't go to it over and over and over like the Psi Warrior can. And that's pretty awesome, actually. I'm the sort of person that if you can't stop me from posting you up, I'm just going to dunk on you or lay up on you all day long. I'm not interested in mixing it up. I come from the school of thought where I'm going to give you my best punch, and if you can't stop me, you're getting that punch over and over and over and over and over. Now, the use of the intelligence mod is a little annoying, but it totally makes sense. A dex-based build seems necessary for this sort of character just due to multi-attribute dependence, and because it is based on intelligence, it's an interesting dip for the Artificer, Wizard, or other psionic subdomains. So when I look at this suite of powers relative to the other archetypes, I give it a rating of good. There are not many better. I think the Echo Knight and the Rune Knight are a little better in their third level powers. I think the Eldritch Knight is in the same ballpark, and I think the Arcane Archer, the Banneret, the Battlemaster, the Cavalier, the Champion, and the Samurai are all worse than the Psi Warrior at third level. At 7th level, the Psi Warrior adds new powers. They get a Psi-powered leap once per short rest or activated by their psionic energy die and a bonus action, and this confers to them a fly speed equal to twice their move until the end of the current turn, and they get telekinetic thrust, which is a bump to their psionic strike ability that they got at 3rd level. Before it inflicted additional damage, now it also inflicts a strength save versus prone or a 10-foot push. So a 1-turn fly speed at double movement is an excellent maneuverability option. It's the flip side of their telekinetic movement power, which affects others. Now Psi-powered leap affects you. That is a really nice addition to the Psi Warrior. And then telekinetic thrust is pretty sweet as well. It's nice that you can stack it with the damage of psionic strike and it's not a standalone power. And prone and push are excellent party combo options. Prone gains allies attacks at advantage, and they are attacked at disadvantage by whoever's prone. And then an ally can follow up with a grapple to keep them down. That's a really nice tactic to go to over and over in combat. And of course, the 10-foot push optimizes persistent area of effect conditions and can also create disengages and break grapples. I am really impressed by this suite of powers, and when I rate them against the others, they once again get rated good. I think only the Eldritch Knight and the Rune Knight have better 7th level abilities. I think only the Samurai is in the same tier, and I think the Arcane Archer, Banneret, Battlemaster, Cavalier, Champion, and Echo Knight all have inferior 7th level powers relative to the Psi Warrior. At 10th level, they gain Guarded Mind, resistance to psychic damage, and can use a psionic energy die to end the charmed or frightened condition on themselves. So the resistance is unimpressive. You're very rarely going to run into psychic damage, although of course it's always nice to have when it does come up. But being essentially immune to charm or frightened is fantastic. Charm and frightened are very powerful conditions. Charm especially is quite powerful. It normally requires a greater restoration to remove charm. So to be immune to these two things is a really nice bump that is going to be pretty helpful, I think, going forward. So I give them, again, a rating of good. I find that only the Champion and the Eldritch Knight's powers at 10th level are better. The Echo Knight is the only one in a similar tier at 10th level. And the Arcane Archer, Banneret, Battlemaster, Cavalier, Rune Knight, and Samurai are all worse than the Psi Warrior at 10th level. So the Psi Warrior is off to a pretty good start. Good, good, and good at 3rd, 7th, and 10th levels. Let's see if they can keep it up. At 15th level, they get Bulwark of Force. Once per day, or you can use a psionic energy die to activate it. It does take a bonus action, and it will confer to a number of allies within 30 feet equal to your intelligence modifier, half cover. That is fantastic. A defense that lasts for the full combat that confers +2 to AC and +2 to dex saves. That is a massive bump in bounded accuracy. I am very impressed by the 15th level Psi Warrior power, and when I rate it against the others, I give it a rating of superior. I think only the Rune Knight receives powers that are in the same tier, and all of the others are worse. And so finally we get to their 18th level power, Telekinetic Master. Once per day, or a psionic energy die to activate, they can cast Telekinesis and make a bonus action weapon attack every turn while they are concentrating on their telekinesis, including the round they cast it. This is one perfectly thematic. Of course, a Psi Warrior is going to have telekinesis, and the number of uses you get per day is amazing. This is where that flexibility of the Psi Warrior is really shining, because they can activate all of their powers with a psionic energy die. So to get a 1-minute telekinesis with the extra bonus action weapon attack rider, that is a fantastic spell for consistent use. And nice synergy. The bonus action weapon attack is fantastic because they have very little bonus action clog, unlike the Rune Knight, and telekinesis itself uses your action. So I am very impressed, and once again, when I compare them to the other martial archetypes, I have to give the Psi Warrior's 18th level powers a rating of superior. Only the Cavalier is in the same tier at their 18th level power, and all of the rest are worse. So the Psi Warrior, as a whole, their entire power suite is excellent. I give it a rating of good. I think the only power suites better are the Echo Knight and the Eldritch Knight. I think the Rune Knight is in the same tier, and I think the Psi Warrior is better than the Arcane Archer, the Banneret, the Battlemaster, the Cavalier, the Champion, or the Samurai. So that's it. That is my overview of the Psi Warrior, and I've got to say, they look really sweet. So I'm looking forward to my video tomorrow where I dive deeper into their powers and look for optimization leverage points. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. This has been the Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition Power Gamers Tactics Room. I'm your host, Bill Braun Bafflestone. See you next time.